Hey guys, it's Michelle from Cozyegg, and I am back with another video. You can find all of the show notes for this episode or any of the previous episodes eventually on my blog, cozyegg.cozyeggdesigns.com. You can also just go to cozyyeggdesigns.com and navigate from there. So if you have any questions or looking for information or anything that you can't find or I haven't posted it yet, feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a note. And you can also find me on Instagram, Ravelry, all of the places as Cozyegg. So feel free to stalk me accordingly. All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to start in with just kind of a life update, and then we'll sort of go from there. So I mentioned in my last video that I would like to try to do more frequent videos. I'm trying for a weekly basis and keep the videos a little bit shorter. I already hit a little snag with that, like, first video out of the box. So I recorded my last video. I intended to have it uploaded and posted to YouTube before I went on my work travel. That didn't happen. So it's actually being uploaded right now. And then I will probably hold this video a little bit so that you have a chance to see that one. So if you follow me on Instagram, some of this may not be super timely, but we're working without a net. So just bear with me as I try to kind of, get acclimated to this. Things happen. What are you gonna do? So you should have that video already up, and then this video will follow at some point, maybe just later this week. And then we'll kind of go from there. So work travel, let's start there. So I had to go, like I said, I had to travel for work, and it was a super quick kind of in and out. Like, I flew in on a Wednesday evening. I didn't even get to the hotel until after 11 p.m. Excuse me. And then we were at the client site all day Thursday, all day Friday, and then I flew out. I actually ended up flying out Friday afternoon. We were originally scheduled to fly out at like 6 p.m. on Friday, but we got finished early, went to the airport, and they got us on an earlier flight. So I was able to come home and have dinner with Eric, which was kind of nice. So quick in and out. And I was traveling with my boss's boss. So a little nerve-wracking, but I wasn't entirely sure that I was going to have any time to myself. I ended up with a night free, which was nice. And because of having that night free, I was actually able to meet up with Diana at his Kismet Stitches. I had hoped to also meet up with Emily, Eclectic Possessions, but Facebook Messenger is a jerk, and we couldn't quite make that happen. So, but I got to meet up with Diana and meet her in person for the first time and give her a big hug, and we had dinner and had a really just fantastic evening visiting and talking about all kinds of stuff. So that was super fun. It made the whole trip worth it, honestly. But like I said, it was kind of a quick in and out. So, and I was super thankful to get back home because the hotel that I was staying in was like the worst hotel I've ever been in ever. So anyway, so super happy I got to meet Diana. Super sad I did not get to meet Emily. But if I'm you know, stuck with this account, I shouldn't say stuck. If I'm on this account for a while, maybe I'll get a return trip. So hopefully it would be under better circumstances, because the circumstances of this trip were not great, but it was all productive and successful. So anyway, so that's what happened last week. And otherwise, I've been just trying to kind of catch up from being out of the office and trying to get stuff done around the house. And I'm still sort of making up for time that I lost when I was sick, and, you know, just all of that stuff. And beginning of the year, you know, trying to get stuff done. So, but in an effort to try to keep myself sort of on task, I have my notes here in my bullet journal. So hopefully I can stay on task. We'll see. One thing I did want to talk about a little bit was my word for 2019 and kind of how that plays in with my stitching and crafting and reading and goal setting and all that good stuff. So my word of the year last year was limitless. And the year before it was transformation. And both of those, I think, were very appropriate to what was going on at the time, and what I was kind of working through, you know, make change around, etc. This year I had a few kind of words that were rattling around in my head, but really what it boiled down to was, ultimately I wanted a word of the year that was more action oriented. I can get really stuck in my head, and as evidenced by most of my videos, but I wanted something that was a little more action oriented. So my word of the year for 2019 is focus. And I shared that with Michelle Bendy, and she said, well, you seem really focused to me already, which I appreciate that. I certainly don't feel it. So one of the ways that, you know, that sort of comes into play is that there are specific things that I really want to focus on this year. I felt like last year especially that my time and my priorities were often dictated to me, and I sort of, you know, bounced along without feeling like I had a whole lot of control over situations or my time, my priorities, etc. And some of that was by my own doing. So this year I want to be really clear about what it is that I want to make a priority, what it is that I want to focus on, and what it is that I want to accomplish. So I thought that focus was the perfect word for what I'm working on doing this year. So that being said, you know, I mentioned in my last video that I'm really trying to work on getting my whip count down and focus on getting some things finished and moved out of the whip pile. I talked a little bit with Diana about, you know, about that and about the number of whips I have and, you know, kind of what I wanted to focus on, that sort of thing. And, you know, she brought up a couple of good points to me, which I really appreciated, that I wanted to kind of share here. So one of the things that she said was, you know, if these are, you know, if any of these pieces that you have as, you know, whips, whether they're active or inactive or whatever, if they're not pieces that you're in love with, if they're not pieces that you're really passionate about, you have my permission to give them away, get rid of them, unkit them, not finish them. And that really kind of opened up my eyes to, you know, I get very stuck on feeling like I've started this, I need to finish it. And just having somebody say, I give you permission to let them go, really kind of changed my perspective about it, because I really thought to myself, you know, there are a lot of things that are on that list of 60-something WIPs that I have that I don't know that I'm really interested in working on. I'm not entirely sure that I'm interested in putting the time in on them when I could be putting it on something else that I absolutely love. So I really appreciated those words of wisdom from her. And so I'm starting to kind of look at my projects in that light of, you know, with that filter of, do I love this? Am I really passionate about it? And if not, then maybe I don't focus the effort on it and the energy on finishing it. So more to come on that. But I really appreciate that perspective and starting to kind of look at, are these things that I still love, and do I want to keep working on them? And in some cases, that may be a big no. So the other thing that has come up is the Stitch 9 challenge that Michelle Farm Girl put out, and everyone is jumping on that bandwagon, including myself. So I did put my Stitch 9 challenge out there. All of my pieces are WIPs, and I tried to get a good mix of different things. And so what I will do is I will insert photos here. Of those 9 projects, and I'm just going to kind of read off what they are. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to put, I'll see if I can just put labels on them. Easy enough. I'm going to continue to look, to give that list a hard look, and it may change. We'll see. Some of them overlap with the things that I already had on my goal list that I really wanted to focus on, like Anniversaries of the Heart, like Colonial Garden, etc. So we'll see how that goes. But part of being focused is I'm trying to, you know, set up a plan for myself, and not that plans can't change, but I'm trying to set up a plan for myself and trying to stick to that and not get sidetracked by whatever thing is shiny and new that everybody else is working on that I might need to. Because as I was digging out things for my Stitch 9 challenge, one of which being my oldest WIP, which I think is from 2004, which is Dorothy's Garden. As I was digging that out, I realized there is so much that I have that I've started that I really want to finish, and there is so much that I have that I haven't started that I really want to stitch, just in my stash. So something to think about. Okay, so So enough about that. So let's talk about finishes, because I have several finishes to show you. So I mentioned in my last video that I was working on the companion strawberry for the Crown Bird sampler. And so I started the first strawberry on January 1st. That was my New Year's start. And I thought it would be fun to go ahead and get this stitched up, since I'm going to be starting the Crown Bird sampler by Plum Street Samplers here shortly. So I finished that up, and so it's all stitched in. Well, the red is Belle Soie Sister Scarlet, and the black, I believe, is an MPI. So all in silks, that's on a 36 count. 1 strand over 2. And I think this is Vintage Meadow Rue. So that color is probably a little more accurate. So I got this finished. And then there is a second strawberry that she included that I then stitched up. And this one she called a Crown Suitor. And there he is. So he was a cute little quick stitch. He will be a second strawberry. I really like how he turned out. So started both of these, finished both of these. They're ready to be finished. I don't know when I will get to that. I'm hoping that I can have kind of a finishing date sometime soon. So, so that's it for the companion pieces for Crown Bird Sampler. And I'm super happy to have these done. So focus, finished. And then I picked up, and I think in my last video I mentioned that I was going to be picking this up, or no, I had just started it when I showed that video, recorded that video. So I'm also working on the Blackbird Designs stockings, and somebody was asking about these earlier, when these came out. 2009. So, and it's a series of 12 leaflets. There's 3 stockings in each, 1 for each month, 1 leaflet for each month. So I'm going to be doing a stitch along with some friends of mine on these all year long. You're welcome to join in if you want. The hashtag is BBD Stocking Sal. You can also use BBD Sal, but Stocking Sal seemed appropriate. So I started on, so I had already, let's turn this over. So I've already stitched this one, the birthday one. And so I decided to do Auld Lang Syne because I had that already kitted up, ready to go. Except for the cherry bark, which I had to buy. Which I did buy. And I was able to finish this. So I had talked about I was going to take my strawberry and this on my trip. I had finished the strawberry by the time I went on my trip, so I just took this with me. And I worked on it a little bit. I didn't have that much time to stitch, honestly. The time difference got to me a little bit, and just I had a lot of work to do when I got back to my my hotel room. So I didn't stitch a whole lot. But I managed to finish this up on Friday. So just a few nights of stitching on this. Like, I think I started it on a Saturday. There was a few nights of not stitching, and then I think I started or finished it on a Friday. So about a week. And so it's all done in Gentle Arts Onyx, and then the heel is done in Cherry Bark. And this is on 30 count R&R Old Town Blend, which is what it calls for. And so when I got these cut, I got them cut so that I could do 2 stockings. And I think the other one that is on this fabric is one of the March stockings. So, but I'm really happy I got that stitched and finished and all done. And so I have not yet stitched this one out of the January leaflet. I've stitched all 3 of the February ones. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to stitch this one in February or if I'm going to scoot over to March, since I already have the fabric out, and do one of the March ones. We'll see. It'll be a surprise. So that's all ready to go. And my fun little sleeve, where I'm twinsies with Michelle Bendy. So another one started, finished. So if you're keeping score at home, that is 3 new starts and 3 finishes in January. The other thing that I brought with me on my trip, since I had finished the strawberries, I brought something else with me. This is one of the pieces that I got out for my Stitch 9. I didn't touch this, but since I had it out, I thought I'd go ahead and show it to you. I don't recall the last time I worked on this. I want to say it was like 2008-ish. Nope, it had to have been 9 because this was released in 2009. So I would say probably the last time I worked on this was 2009, 2010. Haven't touched it since then. So this is also a Blackbird Designs. This is a Loose Feathers pattern, number 36, The Simple Things. So it's got this big vase of flowers, and it's got, you know, some overone words in here. Grace, love, wisdom, faith, hope, patience. I love those little black birds on there. And then around all of the leaves and all of the flowers, it is chain stitched. So I really love the texture that that gives this piece. And Sharon in Florida, I can't think what her Instagram name is. I'll put it here. She just showed a video of her Blackbird Designs wall with all her framed pieces, and this is one of her framed pieces, and it's beautiful, finished. So, here's where I'm at. And yes, this is 30 count R&R, which is why you can completely see through it. But you can see I've basically got the basket of flowers all done. I've got some leaves I've got to fill in with the darker green, but that's basically done. So then it's just down to, excuse me, the birds and the border, the overone words, and then all the chain stitching, which I think once you get in a groove with the chain stitching, I think it'll go pretty fast. Famous last words. So, but I do love this piece, and I remember stitching this like when I was in school. I was getting certifications, and I remember this was like my car project, and so I remember stitching it in my car. But then trying to work full-time and go to school full-time, or not full-time, but trying to go to school at night was kind of a beating. So I think that's what happened there. But, and this little pin cushion, I have stitched that, and mine's all finished in a pin cushion, and that part's done. And so this is on the called for fabric, which is 30 count Marva's blend by R&R. I don't know who Marva is. And then it calls for a bunch of weeks. Kudzu, stepping stones, red pear, guacamole, cranberry ice, blah, blah, blah. So, pretty colors. That curry is like one of my favorite colors. That mustardy. Yeah. I love that color. So, yeah, so this is the one on my Stitch 9 pieces, and I just sort of threw it in there because I thought this is my oldest Blackbird whip. So, yeah. So, I didn't touch that, but it did travel out of state with me and then back safely, thankfully. So, and this is in my fancy project bag. Which had the fabric for A Most Noble Pursuit in it, which I think I commandeered for something else. So, anyway, so I just thought I'd show that to you while I have it out. All right. And so after I finished my stocking, I decided, since it was getting close to Dark 13 stitching time, I decided to pull out my Dark 13 stitching. This is another piece that's on my Stitch 9 challenge. And this is Salem Village by Primitive Needle. And I absolutely love this piece. Absolutely love it. So when I picked it up, I stitched this little flower thing, and I've started doing the border. There's kind of 3 lines of border. There's a solid black line, there's 2 solid black lines, and then in between them there's a, you know, every other stitch kind of dotted border. So I've started doing the border. I did these tombstones, and I've started on this house. So let me get a little closer and show you that. My light is so weird tonight. But I super love this. This is on 40 count dapple, 1/2. I think the original was charted for Floramel, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm kind of doing my own overdyed conversion. And I love it. So I'm gonna keep working on this until the end of the week. I'm kind of hoping I can finish it, since this is the bottom. So I still have all that border to do. I've got this house, there's another house, and then there's another one of these flower things. But that's it. So I'm kind of hoping I can just stick with this and get it finished. And then that would be one thing off of my Stitch 9 challenge list. So, Dark 13 stitching, that's what I'm working on. So, my plan is to kind of work through that until I finish it, or until it's time to work on my new start, which is going to be the Crown Bird Sampler by Plum Street Samplers. And it is now housed in my beautiful, gorgeous project bag made by Becky, Socks for Mom. And I think she put a bunch of these up in her shop, so you can certainly purchase one. It's got this darling little fox zipper pull. And the colors of this bag are just stunning. And then the inside is this gray with the red. It's very French General. I don't know if it is a French General, but that's what it looks like to me. Clear front, love that. So we are going to be starting as a stitch along the Crown Bird Sampler, which was designed by Paulette for my guild, the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild, back in 2013. And here is the picture of that. And so Becky, Socks for Mom, and Rachel, Stitch and Be Well, Mrs. Vensel, have both talked about this. There is now also a Facebook group. I believe it's called Crown Bird Sampler Sal, which you can join. You can also use that hashtag on Instagram. So if you have this, if you've started it, if you want to start it, please jump in and join us. So this is going to be, I think we're going to start around the 15th, and that'll be fun. So, and I mean, this has just been sitting since we had the workshop. Belsoise, MPIs, and my friend Susan made this little scissor fob for me. It's like a Tudor Rose. It's so pretty. And I put it on these scissors, but I actually have some of the Tudor Rose scissors around here someplace that I can't find. I actually have two pair. I have a little mini gold pair, which is what I was looking for, and then I have a larger silver pair. So I want to put this on that, but for now it's on my leopard gingers. But I just thought that was super sweet. And so I've got that. I've got the fabric ready to go, 36 count Meadow Rue, and yeah. So that is going to be started here shortly, but I'm hoping I can get Salem Village at least farther along, if not finished, before then. And so I'm going to work on that. My plan is to work on Crown Bird for a week, and then the week after that will be Project Bag Roulette. And then that should take me right up to High Tea, which is the last Sunday of the month. And then I can pull out my Focus on a Finished piece, which is probably going to be Anniversaries of the Heart. So that's what I have coming up. So let's see, we talked about finishes, whips up next, Stitch 9 challenge, and so that brings us to books. So the other thing that I want to focus on this year is reading. And so the last few years I have done the Goodreads reading challenge, and it's funny because, you know, one year I far exceeded my goal, and then the next year I read like 3 books. So this year I've signed up for 25 books, and I'm going to try to read 2 books a month and see how that goes. So since I was going on my trip, I figured what better time to pick up a book to read than in the airport and on a plane. So I picked up this book that I started back in December called Winter Street. And I bought this book last year, but then I sort of held on to it because I thought this would be the perfect thing to read around Christmas time, around the end of the year, winter time, etc. And it was the perfect thing to read around that time of year. Obviously we're now into January, but doesn't matter. So what I will say about this book, I've never read anything else by her. A lot of people speak very highly of her books, and apparently there are more in the same series. What I will say is it was okay. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I need to read another one. It was okay. So, but I was happy to read it, enjoy it, finish it, moving on. So, I decided that so I basically read that, finished it up on the way there, and then on the plane back, I decided to pick up this book, which I also was in the process of reading but set aside some time ago. This is part of the Dark Tower series. And so I was probably about halfway through it when I picked it up. And now I'm almost done. So my plan is to just continue to stick with this. The trick is, can I make time to read while I'm at home? But my plan is to stick with this and finish this up, and then that will be my 2 books for January. And I made myself a fun little layout in my bullet journal. So I put Winter Street here, and hopefully I can fill all these up. So, okay, well, I think that's all that I had to share with you today. Like I said, I'm going to try to stick on a weekly schedule and try to make the videos just a little bit shorter so that they're a little easier to digest. And even though I'm, uploading the one from last week today, I'll probably go ahead and upload this kind of later in the week. So, all right, guys, well, that's all I got. So I appreciate all of your comments, likes, subscribes, etc. Telling your friends about me. Follow me on Instagram, etc. And here's to a focused 2019.